Okay, good evening. I am about to tell you the story of Mr. C and his family. Um, this is the recording that I told you I would do, and we're going to do it as an assignment, okay? Because I'm trying to get a bunch of recordings done. Not a good spontaneous plan on my part, but here we go. This situation is one that I actually experienced, and you can consider me a volunteer as I tell this story. This story involves Mr. C. I actually encountered him last Tuesday when I was walking across campus to the administration building from Strauss Hall. I saw, as I approached the library and administration building, an elderly gentleman, it appeared, sitting in a metal chair, one of those maroon metal chairs kind of close to the sub. And as I continued walking, I noticed he got up very gingerly, very carefully, in other words, and was beginning to walk on the sidewalk toward the middle of that open area where the Warhawk is and the Walker Hall is. And there were people passing him by without stopping to say anything or ask if he needed any help, because he obviously looked like he was struggling on a walker. And so as I approached, I stopped and asked him if I could help him, and that I was Jenny Savage. I taught here on campus, and he looked like he might need some help, or could I help him get where he was going? And he said, well, he wasn't going anywhere on campus. He was going to the Council on Aging on Ferrand. He proceeded to talk to me for quite a bit. I was a little bit in a hurry, but I went ahead and, let him tell me his story. And he was telling me that, yeah, he had broken his hip, and a couple of weeks ago had to have surgery, was at home, fell out of his bed, wasn't able to get up, was there for several days before anybody found him, and hadn't eaten, had a mess everywhere. And his daughter finally came to check on him, and when she came in, she helped him, of course, and so on. So he was that day walking from Ferrand because his sister was working, who he said was a really fine lady and was there to help him a lot. But he knew she was working, even though she'd retired. I told you he was telling me a story, and I was just listening. And that he was just going to go and get on the bus over there and get to Ferrand and to the Council on Aging, because he needed to get him some food. So I said, well, sir, I'd be glad to call somebody. Do you have a family member? Is your sister? Perhaps I could call her for you. I've got to go get to this building before it closes, and I'll be happy to call when I get there and come back out and see where you are and try to help you out and get you a ride or something. He said, that'd be fine. Let me give you her number. Now, I don't know my daughter's number, if it's even working, but check with Carolyn. She could tell you. So I said, okay. And I proceeded to the administration building, and I called first the Council on Aging to ask if they had anybody that could indeed come and get him. And because he had told me that Council on Aging was not doing individual transportation, and couldn't, because they have to always find him when he starts out walking, because he always walks. They said they knew him well, and that he was known to be kind of belligerent. And I said, oh, well, he seemed pretty nice to me, but I mean, I was just meeting him for a few minutes, so I just wanted to make sure he got where he was going. And she said, well, he's going to do what he wants to do, and he always comes here to get more food, and he'll eat here when we could have people in, but we can't have people in anymore. And we just can't do too much for him except take him food when he needs it, and he gets his food. So I said, yes, ma'am. I'll talk back to his sister and see if I can, get her and find out if she's able to help him out, and kind of go from there. And she said, well, that'd be fine. If he makes it over here, we'll get him back to his place. So, though I don't have any drivers right now, she said. So I go on to the administration building and do what I need to do before they close down, and called his sister. And his sister was very nice indeed. She said that he was kind of a handful, that he wouldn't let them help him and insisted on living by himself, even though he did fall and he had his hip broke and he's supposed to be walking. He knows he's not supposed to be up on that hip, and no business out on the road like that, but he's going to do what he's going to do. And if you try to challenge him, he's going to cuss you out. And that actually was also told to me by the folks at Council on Aging I had just talked to. And she said, but I can't help him right now. And his daughter's phone isn't working and she hadn't got transportation. And I'm in somebody else's car right now headed to Ruston, so I can't help him. And I said, yes, ma'am, I understand. A couple of things I'd suggest. I want to see if I can find him a ride here, maybe with our University Police Department or the Monroe Police Department, to help him out and get to Foran without much more stress on that hip. And, you know, I'd be happy to do that. And I'm about to go check on him when I go out, see how far he's gotten. He said he was going to the bus station on University Drive by the nursing building. She said, yep, that's him. And she said, when I asked her, had they ever thought about calling Adult Protective Services, if he was now really a danger to himself, he might need to be in rehab facility for a little while. And she said, no, he won't go. Plus, we can't call. They told us that family can't call, but you can call. And I said, okay, well, I just wanted to let you know that, and I'd be happy to call, but I want to make sure I have your permission. And she said, oh, you have our permission. So I got the sense that maybe, knowing that that wasn't exactly true, anybody, family members, anybody can call in concern for an adult who's incapacitated or appears to need some kind of help. Because Adult Protective Services, I know, is a resource that responds to elders who are being exploited, not necessarily by family, but sometimes by family, who are being abused, sometimes by family, sometimes by other caregivers, or who have become a danger to themselves. So indeed, I called the Adult Protective Services, and they said, okay, well, we can check on him, but do you have an address? And I said, well, no, I don't have an address. I know he's headed to the bus stop and he's trying to get to the Council on Aging right now. He's headed to the bus stop on University Drive here on campus by the nursing building. And she said, well, we still can't help him unless we got an actual address. And I said, well, I will give you the number to his sister, who is willing to give you his address. And she said, okay. Well, I knew I wouldn't get any feedback, which I have not, because Protective Services for Adults or Children is confidential once a reporter reports. And of course, I gave her my name and number and where I worked and how I encountered him and the whole story I'm giving you. After which, I called UPD and they said, oh yeah, we know Mr. C. He's we already took him. Somebody already went over. One of our guys went over and already took him a lift over to Foran. It's about 1.5 miles, but he was still going to try to walk on a newly injured and surgically repaired hip on a walker. So he got to the Council on Aging. What happened after that? I don't know. And so that's the story for Unit 4 assignment. So your job is to follow those directions right in the digital space. And I want you to use those pages 72 through 75 on active aging in chapter 3. I've reposted it in Unit 4 readings, and also the reading on how social workers demonstrate respect for elderly clients. Use both of those resources, apply all 5 of the active aging principles to my intervention that I'm describing, albeit voluntary. Of course, you know, as it happened, I was thinking about y'all and thinking, oh my goodness, this is something I could actually use, a real case that I'm living through right now as a volunteer, just a concerned citizen. So there you go. And also notice other things that I've put up there for you, including, well, you can't see them right now, but a final that you will be happy about. It will not be burdensome, I guarantee you. And what will be there is all that you'll have. You will have a quiz that will be open-ended. Your final, however, will be a closed one-time attempt, but again, you'll be happy. Christmas time at the end of fall semester, and I really get generous, more so than normal. Anyhow, hope you're having a good weekend.